go.
Hi, I'm Kay Taylor, and I'd like to share a story from my life with you. I'm going to tell you about the events leading up to the birth of my son, what went on with him early in his childhood, and what's going on now. When my husband and I found out we were expecting my son, we had an 11-month-old baby at home, and at first we were just kind of freaked out about the fact that we were going to have two kids in diapers and two babies running around, and what were we going to do with that. And time rolled on, we kind of adjusted to that fact, and we went to the 20-week ultrasound to find out exactly what baby we were having, boy or girl. We both had girls, neither one of us had a boy, so we were kind of hoping for a boy. When we got into the ultrasound appointment, everything went along smoothly for a while, and we did find out that we were having a son. And the ultrasound technician kept taking longer than I thought she should, and finally she said to us that she was going to have to go out and get the doctor and bring him in, and she couldn't see the baby's heart very well. So he came into the room, and he tried to visualize his heart as well, and he couldn't get it either. So he asked us to leave and come back in a little while. Maybe the baby would reposition and he could see the heart better. We came back and he still couldn't see it, so he sent us home to come back the next day, and that was the longest night. When we came back the next day, he still couldn't see the baby's heart very well, and he did decide that that's because there was not a complete heart there. My son only had the top half of his heart. So at that point, he scheduled us to go to Vanderbilt Pediatric Cardiology, where we had a fetal echocardiogram done, and that confirmed his diagnosis of double inlet left ventricle with malopose great arteries and pulmonary and aortic stenosis. We were not given a very high chance to bring him home from the hospital after he was born, and so that was 20 weeks into my pregnancy, and we got to look forward to that for the next 20 weeks of what was going to happen when he was born. So the night came for him to be born. Well, actually, I went into labor at night. He was born early the next morning, and luckily we were able to hold him for a little while before they took him to the NICU. We weren't able to see him again until that afternoon when they had all the lines in and everything he needed. He underwent his first surgery the very next morning in the NICU. We stayed in the hospital then for 5 more days until he was big enough to have his first open heart surgery. He had his first open heart surgery at 5 days old. We went home when he was 12 days old. He did very well. We knew he was going to have 2 more staged open heart surgeries. The second one we had when he was 6 months old. That one was stressful because when he got back into the intensive care unit, he coded. He had to be resuscitated. He had to have his chest opened up there in the intensive care unit, and they left that open for a couple of days. And after that, things were pretty uneventful, and we went home as scheduled and had no more problems until we went back for his third surgery, and that surgery was when he was 2 years old. That surgery went textbook. We were ready to go home the next day, making preparations for discharge, when he developed a post-op infection, and they had to take him back to the operating room, clean his chest out, put a wound vac in to keep the infection sucked out of the wound, and we ended up staying in the hospital for about 7 weeks that time and going home on IV antibiotics. Since that time, he's done fairly well. He, of course, takes a regimen of medications daily. He's had a little bit of problem with some irregularities in his heart rate and heartbeat, so he has a pacemaker now. He's 8 years old. He plays like any other kid. He does tire a little bit quicker, but people who don't know him have no idea that he has any kind of heart defects. His outlook for the future, we're not real sure about. We know eventually he'll need a heart transplant, and the reason that I really like to share this story with people is because even being in the healthcare profession, I had no idea that 1 out of every 100 babies born has a congenital heart defect. You don't know that statistic until it happens to you. So I like to share my story so that you know that, you can be aware, and hopefully you can let other people be aware also. Thank you.